It's funny. Denver brought in Sean Payton to fix Russell Wilson, but it turns out what this team really needed was to move on from Russell Wilson because they didn't need some elite passer down the field, some great athlete. What they needed at quarterback was someone that's surgical but will execute the offense as he's told. Sean Payton tells Bo Nix to read a slant flat. Bo Nix is going to read the slant flat exactly how he is taught. It's perfect. It's a match made in heaven between Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Because Sean Payton spaces out those routes very well. He makes sure that guys get open. But let's say there is a tight window. Bo Nix could hit that tight window throw 2 or 3 times a game because he has a very strong arm. But what's great is you don't need Bo Nix to wow you. He can. When he needs to, he will. But this is perfect because Sean Payton, for the most part, what he draws up will work. It's just every now and then there's a little bit of improvisation needed. That's why bringing in a guy like Evan Ingram is great because he's going to be able to take that simple hitch, right? Make the catch over the middle of the field. And instead of it just being a 5-yard gain that stops right when Evan Ingram catches the ball, he's going to run and make a play after that. That's what's great about having a guy like Marvin Mims, who's also such a great after-catch player, a very nice gadget guy. And that's what's really nice about having a guy like Courtland Sutton, who, when you do want to take a deep shot down the field, you could chuck it his way, 50-50 ball, right? He's going to turn that into the 70-30. He is great with the 50-50 ball, a true big play threat. But like I said, they're going to operate more of a dink and dunk system here, trying to just win the time of possession battle. And it makes sense because you look at this offensive line, oh my lord, they are going to move people. Defensive lines, they are going to struggle. Garrett Bowles has been outstanding. He has been phenomenal. Mike McGlinchey has made a career out of messing up defenders' run fits. He is just a physically dominant guy. He is physically better than your defensive lineman. Ben Powers, you ask him to pull, someone is getting knocked onto the ground. That's the reality. Ben Powers, a great pulling guard who is just as good when you simply ask him, hey, duo, you just have to go ahead and get your guy, gap scheme, let's run it. Move your person, and he's going to do it. And Quinn Miners is one of the best guards in the NFL, maybe the best. He is outstanding. All 4 of those guys I just named are physically just better than your defensive linemen. They're going to be asked not to run inside zone. They're not going to be asked to move around open space. None of that. They're going to be asked, hey, move that guy. We're running duo behind you. We're running trap. We're running power. We are running between the tackles. Move your guy. It's not a finesse blocking offensive line. It's a physical, I'm better than you offensive line. Last year, the running back play was very bad. Now they brought in J.K. Dobbins, who has been very good when he's healthy. Right, we saw last year with the Chargers, he was great. It's just injuries tend to be an issue for the guy. But behind him, they have R.J. Harvey, who they drafted this year, more of a finesse runner. Behind him, they have Audric Estime, who's more of that power runner, really a freight train between the tackles. He's someone that is going to consistently get you the 2 or 3 yards that you need. A very good power back. Overall, this is going to be a very effective rushing attack. Very effective rushing attack behind a great offensive line. Offensive line. And then they're going to operate a lot of the quick passing game. And right when you think that you're going to blow up a run play and really overcommit to the run, that's when they're going to do play action. And that's when you're going to see Courtland Sutton beat you deep. Okay, that's what this offense is all about. I love this unit because it's an offense that has a very clear style of football they want to play. They want to win time of possession. But if they need to turn things up, if they need to score quick, they can. If they need to just ask Bo Nix, hey, shotgun this play, go ahead, hit Courtland Sutton deep down the field, no play action, no nothing, he's going to be able to do it. But that's not the type of football they want to play. They want to play more of this dink and dunk complemented by a great running game style. And that's going to work really well. But when it doesn't, they have that versatility. That's something you'll love to see. Why is it that they're going to play more of that time of possession ball? Well, I mean, this defense might just be the best in the NFL. Vance Joseph, you got to give him a lot of credit. You do. Because he's ballsy. This guy is ballsy. He's blitzing and running man coverage behind it. That's a scheme where you could find yourself very vulnerable. But if you have confidence in your guys and you know that they're going to be able to hold up in man coverage, the rewards are tremendous. If you're able to run this type of system efficiently, you're going to dominate the league like this defense did last year. And there's no reason that they won't do it again. I mean, you look, all these guys are returning starters, it feels like. And where they isn't a returning starter, they upgraded. I think a lot of people would agree. Dre Greenlaw, that's an upgrade. Yeah, he's coming off injury. Yes, but I think people widely agree Dre Greenlaw has been a great linebacker for San Fran. Jahdae Barron, replacing Riley Moss with him? And they still have Riley Moss on the bench, so let's say Jahdae Barron isn't a very good player. Jahdae Barron is going to provide you with a lot of upside, but if he doesn't play up to the standard that you drafted him in order to play, okay, then Riley Moss, you're back out there. Pat Surtain was the Defensive Player of the Year last year, and the reason why was because of how good he was in off-man coverage. This is someone who was being left on islands in coverage, and he was simply told, hey, you're on Jamar Chase, you're on this great wide receiver, you're on Justin Jefferson. Yeah, lock them up by yourself. You're not getting help. And he did it. And he did it well. Even if he allowed a catch, he's making the tackle directly after. That's why the guy won Defensive Player of the Year. Jahdae Barron, I talked about him. He's going to be very good in that secondary. Then you look at the safety room. Talanoa Hufanga, bringing him in. Another guy coming off an injury, but he could be great. A true box safety who's going to be able to keep up with anyone in coverage, assuming he hasn't lost a step. And then Brandon Jones is going to play that high safety role sometimes, but other times he might just be asked, man coverage, on an island, do your thing. And he's able to do it very well, a very good coverage player right there. Then Alex Singleton is going to fit the run well. But the best thing about this, is that these guys being asked to play this type of coverage, right, in this coverage scheme where things are very difficult, they won't have to hold up in coverage too long. They won't, because this pass rush is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because not only are they sending pressure, not only are they going to be rushing 5 a lot of the time, all of these guys win their one-on-ones. All of them. Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper last year, ridiculous. Racked up 24 sacks and over 100 pressures. I mean, both of them played absolutely lights-out ball. And then on the interior, that trio of John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, and Zach Allen, not only are they going to be great against the run, which they were last year and they're going to continue to be, they could also push the pocket and make things easier for those two edge rushers to go ahead and get their sack, right? This is an unbelievable defensive unit. And my favorite thing about it is they don't disguise stuff. They're going to line up 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. Those are going to be the 5 guys that are blitzing, right? And then everyone else, they're going to be a man coverage except maybe a high safety. Besides that, it's just man coverage across the board. And teams know that, and they don't try and hide it, right? That's why I keep saying Vance Joseph has confidence in his guys. He doesn't draw anything too elaborate up. He simply says, I think my guys are better than yours. Try and beat us. And then they can't beat him because his guys are better than yours. But let's say that they are getting beat. Let's say there are deep catches down the field. Let's say Jahdae Barron or Riley Moss are struggling in coverage. And even though they're being left on islands and there's blitzes coming at the quarterback, quarterbacks are able to get the ball out quick, get the ball in a receiver's hands, and they're in a little bit of a shootout. Then that offense is going to turn up the jets. The offense is going to turn on their engines. And they're going to go ahead and score a lot. They have that versatility. But for the most part, no one's getting open on Pat Surtain. For the most part, not many people are going to be getting open on Jahdae Barron. For the most part, offenses are going to be screwed. For the most part, the Broncos are going to be winning games. And that's why this is the first team I look at and I say, this is a Super Bowl contender right here. On this ranking, from number 8 and onward, all of these teams are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Let's talk about the schedule and see how many games I have this Super Bowl contender winning. So there I was calling Denver a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Yet, they're the 6th seed in the AFC. Yet, they only have 10 wins. Why is that? Well, you got to keep in mind, they're in such a tough division. I think all these teams are going to eat each other alive all season long. All season long, right? You start in week 1, I think the Broncos are going to beat Tennessee. I have no doubts about that. Tennessee, not great on the offensive line. The Broncos pass rush is going to eat Cam Ward alive as a rookie. Week 2, I think the Colts have a good run game. I think the Broncos have a good run defense. Colts don't have much of a passing attack because I don't trust Daniel Jones too much to do much more than operate some RPOs and run. And I don't think AR can even do that. So, Broncos, okay, win. This week 3 game is going to be one of the best games of the season. That's genuinely what I expect because I think the Chargers depend on that rushing attack, but they can throw the ball. They can absolutely throw the ball. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. They have Ladd McConkey who can get open. And I think a team like this, right? Yeah, the Chargers passing attack, it's not very elaborate schematically. It's very simplistic. But the Broncos aren't anything too special in terms of their scheme defensively. So it's going to be a really interesting match when the Chargers do try and throw the football. Now, I do think they're going to be able to run the ball fine. It's going to be a great rushing attack versus a great run defense. I'm interested to see, but I think Justin Herbert is a quarterback that's going to stand strong in the pocket under pressure. And because of that, I think the Chargers at home will score just enough to win this one. Should be a very good game. Week 4, the Bengals defense is non-existent. That's the reality. It's the worst defense in the NFL right now, quite possibly. So I'm expecting this to be a shootout. The Broncos are the home team, and last year they had the 8th most 30-plus point games. Yeah, Joe Burrow's the better quarterback, and normally you take that in a shootout, but I think Joe Burrow's against a much tougher defense than Bo Nix is here, so I'm taking Denver. Philly, it could be a little bit of trouble because I think Jalen Hurts is going to start to struggle against the blitz again. He's without Kellen Moore, so let's see how he can answer against the blitz now. But this offensive line is going to hold up really damn well. Really damn well. This might be one of the few teams where you can't just trust the one-on-ones, right? Broncos defense is all about, okay, I'm going to blitz, so all of my defensive linemen have a one-on-one. And I'm going to trust Pat Surtain one-on-one on A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's a really good receiver. I don't know. I think this is a defense that's so based around their talent, and the Eagles are more talented, and the Eagles are the home team. I'm going to take Philly. Then the Jets. This one's a little bit tough. This one is, I could see a Jets upset in some worlds, but I also see a really talented Broncos defense that's really good at blitzing, and we know Justin Fields doesn't know how to answer the blitz. We know that for a fact, and I think Aaron Glenn, he's going to try and get his guys to operate something similar, right? A lot of blitzes, a lot of man coverage, and I think the Broncos are going to have a lot more to answer that. So I think the Broncos are going to go ahead, take the trash out there, take the trash out week 7 against a Giants team I don't really like. They're going to run a lot of softer coverage. I think Sean Payton will eat that alive. And they're going to be smart, and they're going to run the ball a lot against the Cowboys because that run defense is horrible. Then week 9, this one is tough. This is a tough one. Texans, I think, are a very good team. Texans are the home team here. But you're blitzing a lot. You're getting one-on-ones against that offensive line. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of guys getting after Stroud. Now, Stroud's a good quarterback under pressure. He might be able to make some plays, but not as many. Right? It'll be a defensive game, but I think Denver's going to win it just because that blitz-heavy unit, that defensive line against that offensive line, yeah, I'm taking Denver. Now, I think the Raiders match up well against Denver. I think they're going to run the ball, keep the defense honest, and be able to get the ball out quick. And then offensively, the softer zone coverage stuff might struggle a bit against Sean Payton, of course. But Max Crosby and these guys shutting down the run game, I think the Raiders are going to win both games. Now, I could see it being more of a split, but I'm going to take the Raiders to win both. Then, week 11, you got Andy Reid off a bye. He just doesn't lose off a bye. I'm sorry. That's just the reality there. Week 13, you have Denver playing against Washington. I think Washington's a team that really relies on its talent, and this Denver defense is just more talented. Pat Surtain locks up Terry McLaurin. I think they're going to blitz a lot. I think they're going to generate one-on-ones against a good offensive line. But Jaden Daniels, yeah, he's able to operate against pressure. But again, I just think this Broncos defense is more talented. And these are two units, both offense and defense, the Washington offense and the Broncos defense, that want their talent to just be better than the other guy. And I think the Denver team has the better talent. And then I just think the Broncos offense is going to be able to score a lot easier than Washington. So I'm going to take the Broncos to win that one. Also off a bye week. Then week 14, I talked about the Raiders earlier. I could see it being a split, but I think the Raiders are going to be able to kind of take away what Sean Payton wants to do. And as a result, the Broncos end up winning both of those games or losing both of those games. This Packers one, I could absolutely see an upset here. I absolutely can. But I'm going to give this one to Green Bay because they are so deep. They are so deep at wide receiver. Okay, Surtain's on Matthew Golden. All right, this is going to be a big Jaden Reed game. This is going to be a big Romeo Doubs game. Also, you have these guys like Hufanga, like Dre Greenlaw. This is when the injuries might start to act up again for them. I know Denver's the home team, but I'm taking Green Bay to win that one. Then I think Broncos definitely beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars, I think, by now, they're having a little bit of a quarterback controversy. Honestly, I don't have too much faith in Trevor Lawrence to 100% solidify himself as a starter during the season. I think they might start to try new things around now. The Chiefs, I think they are built a lot better on the offensive line. I think they are better with the quick passing game now than they used to be. And I think that's something that Denver doesn't really like. They don't like teams that are good with the quick passing game. I think the Chiefs will give them a lot of problems throughout the season. And I think the Broncos get their get back on the Chargers in Week 18. This is going to be a big game for seeding, and I think the Broncos end up winning it. 10-7, I think they can really make some noise in the playoffs, but I just look at the schedule, and there's a lot of games I just end up picking to go the other way. But there's a lot of coin flips here, too. I could see the Broncos, winning 14 games, 13 games, and maybe even winning the division. I could absolutely see it. But that's all I have. I really like this Broncos team. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time.